Three hardships that I think are important to remember. The one thing I said, if you don't like what you're doing, then don't keep doing it. Do something else because you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. But you have to learn to be thick-skinned, and I think that was really hard for me because I was always one of those people who I wanted to make everyone happy. And but it's one of those things you just have to learn to believe in yourself. Like, this is what you're passionate about, this is what you want to do, this is what you're meant to do, and that's all that matters. That your boss is happy, good, even better. Dedicated. We have to be dedicated, whether it means not going out on a Friday night or working on Valentine's Day or Christmas. Eventually it will pay off. And seize the opportunity and network. Even if it's an internship for a country station and you think all people who sing country should die. I mean, you just have to get in there and do it. When I worked at Live FM, I swear to God, I played the YMCA every hour. And I wanted to beat my head on the table. Like, I did like an 8-hour shift. And, hey, look, it's the YMCA again. I had to be excited about it. I mean, you just have to bite the bullet because you're never going to get that chance or the opportunity if you don't take advantage of it. And then last but not least, my best advice was from my friend Greg Murray, who is at B96. He's the production guy. So, you know, all this hard work, blah, 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 pays off, yay for me, whatever. But it's still stressful. You know, you want to do a good job, and there's always somebody who's always going to say something. And my first day on the air, like officially as middays, I did like 26 pages of the show prep. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, anything people mention, I'm going to have that. I'm going to know everything about everything. So I had all this show prep. I had my book. I was ready. And, you know, I almost been on the air for 6 years. I can do whatever. And I was my own worst enemy that day. I was just like, oh my God, people are listening. Oh my God, people are writing stuff about me on blog sites. And it just killed me. And when I came off, he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just thought this is what I was meant to do, and I thought I was ready, and I don't understand. And he's like, let me tell you something. He's like, you are where you are because of who you are. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, well, they hired, you know, you were hired because of the person that you are and the work that you do and your personality and what you can bring to this station. He said, when you start letting other people get to you and when you start trying to change that or to be something that you're not, he's like, that's when you start to fail. And that's when you start to be someone that you're not, and it just doesn't work out. So it's the best advice I've given, and it sounds so corny, but just be who you are and be happy with what you're doing and believe in yourself. And
you know, anyway, so my thing has always been, like I said, I was like the cut up in school, and you know, so it was more like I probably would have pursued more like comedy than just radio, but it's just fun because when you do a morning show, traditionally is where you have the most freedom to be. You know, we take calls. I'm like a talk show host. A comedian, an actor. I do parody songs, so I get to sing. You know, all these people, American Idol or struggling artists. Man, I lived in my car for 10 years. And I go, oh, I took a music bed and sang over it and put it on the radio like that. You know, it's like you realize how lucky you are. And the other thing is, boy, when we're fired and not on the air for a little while, this becomes a guy's microphone. It's called jock itch. You start to miss that power, you know. Because if I get a bad deal at some Best Buy, I can go on the air the next day and say, Geek Squad sucks, you know. And like we have 1.5 million listeners, and you know, it's kind of cool. So, two of our upper level management. There's like the big four: general manager, marketing manager and director, music director, and program director. And two of those were B96 interns. So it's funny how, here's another thing, stations would rather bring you in, have you work free, and then start paying you, and then keep moving you up, because then you know their system. And no two stations I've ever worked at were anything alike. You know, the chain of command has always been different. And so I've watched these people go up to, you know, 6-figure jobs or more, you know, from interns. Over the years, and I still see a lot of our weekend people or our mixers, they came in as interns initially. I don't know why we don't have a damn morning intern. We need one. We'll take applications. Yeah.
Interviewed me and never called me.
Oh, you know what happened was we thought you sucked. It was so. I was even talking to one of your guys down the hall here about radio these days. I said, I'm glad I'm talking to broadcasters, because when I talk to like high schools that are generic classes, I'll get some guys that are in a band, man. Like this new Trier, this Pete Wentz guy. I told him, just give it up, you know. No. But people ask me why they can't get their song on the radio, and you know what's wrong with radio today. And I was like, you know, I hate to tell you, but I can only do what I'm allowed to do between the records. And a lot of stuff they've lost that edge, which is why I love when new young blood comes in there, because it's, you know, you want to do things right and new and creative, and it can be frustrating, because I was in the same boat when I came into a first station, and a program director said, he goes, I bet you think you're better than all these guys and you know a lot more. He goes, well, you're not, and you don't. And I thought, oh good, you just want me to become a drone like everybody else and do 3 breaks an hour. Another uninterrupted music sweep coming up next. It's 8:33. No, rebel.
The one thing that I would say, I want you guys to get anything out of this, I was still a student in school while I had my job on the air with Eddie and Jobo. And so while at first I was driving every day from Northwestern to downtown, that stopped working after a while, because I was getting too tired, it was too long to drive. So I ended up actually getting a little studio apartment downtown, and I lived downtown my last 2 years of college. So because of that, I had to sacrifice a lot. I had to, you know, kind of sacrifice a couple friendships, which is unfortunate. And, you know, I wasn't able to go out until 4 in the morning like all my other friends. I was waking up as they were getting home from clubs and stuff. So that was kind of something I had to sacrifice to have this dream job that, you know, I've always kind of wanted. So, you know, I would encourage you guys to just work your butts off now, because it's going to pay off later, for sure. And, you know, and I think that that's fantastic that you guys have all this equipment here to work with, and they do all the hands-on training, because that's just invaluable, you guys. That's great that they have you do that, because you're going to become such a necessity for the industry. They're looking for people, especially if you can do everything. If you can do TV, you can do radio, you can run the board. Some of you guys can probably run the board better than I can, because I didn't even study that formally in school. So that's great. That's a great thing. So I really encourage you guys too. Internships, that's the other thing. That's how I got my job. That's where a lot of jobs come from. And internships help you too decide, you know, maybe you think from the outside this job looks great and it looks like a lot of fun, and then you actually get involved with it with an internship, and you realize the behind the scenes stuff is not so cool after all. You didn't really like it. So I had a couple friends that did that, and they actually switched careers entirely based on an internship they did. So there's those would be my things that I want to get across to you guys. So just work hard now and it'll pay off later, I promise.